Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of the IT Provider Network. My name is Terry Rossi, and I'm here to share with you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 20 years running a software development firm and IT services firm. So today I want to talk about setting up your social media accounts and the footprint that you have on the internet. Then I want to talk to you about some tools that I use to publish, republish, and monitor what we put out there on those social media networks.
Welcome to the IT Provider Network. Are you a managed service entrepreneur wanting to take your business to the next level? Do you excel in IT but feel your business management could be better? Join Terry Rossi, where every episode he shares the skills, tips, and tricks that helped him to build a successful worldwide business.
Before I get started with the actual meat of the show, I wanted to share with you a story from this week. We had actually engaged a writer to help us with some customer testimonials and case studies. This particular person worked for a large $250 million or so software development firm, and recently they went through a round of layoffs and she got laid off. Her sole purpose at this company was to write customer case studies and success stories. So she agreed to work with us for a short time while she was in between jobs and interview our customers and get some testimonials for us. So the first one she did was about a 3-page document. It was like a success story, I would call it, for one of our companies that manages associations. And what I really liked about the work she produced was she was really, really good at getting the customer to open up on all the buying reasons that they purchased from us. She was also really good at getting to the meat of the problem of why they left their previous provider. Let me just give you a couple excerpts from the success story that she wrote. Prior to choosing Pix, the customer worked with another service provider to manage its IT operations. But as their business grew, the vendor was unable to keep up with the company's needs. Help desk response time was slow, and that was impacting employee productivity and customer satisfaction. And they lacked the commitment the customer wanted in a partner. Here's a quote from the customer directly. "We were with them for several years, but we just weren't seeing the initiative or the leadership around either improving our infrastructure or just maintaining it," explains the customer. It was a lot of talk and not a lot of movement. I guess the moral of the story is your customers are paying attention. When you tell them you're going to do something, you should do it, whether that's network admin or VCIO type services, technical services. If you're selling a flat fee service and you're only providing help desk, you're not really giving the customer the value they're expecting. So anyway, 2 takeaways from that. 1, do what you say you're going to do. And 2, get somebody to collect testimonials and case studies for you. There's so much stuff in here that we'll be able to use over the years. Tweetable quotes for the website, full-blown case study referral, as well as we have a great customer who now feels like they're ingrained in our service offering. So if I can help you at all with that, please shoot me a line at terry@theitprovidernetwork.com, and I'll be sure to share with you whatever I can. So now let's talk about setting up your social media accounts on the internet. I wanted to share with you something that I did way back in probably 2008 or 9, but it was to set up all our social media accounts. And you can do this. You probably already have this for your own company, but you can certainly do this for customers as well. We have this set up as a project plan template in our ConnectWise system, and we use it whenever a customer wants to get their social media in order. So the original project plan was put together by a gentleman by the name of Chris Chase. And Chris is from Directive IT. I believe they're out of New York. He's the maker of the Joom Connect plugin. It connects Joomla or WordPress to ConnectWise so that you can capture new leads off of forms that are submitted. But he did a really great job on this, and you can Google it, or I'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's called the Ultimate Social Media Rig. And basically, it's a project plan. And the project plan helps you with everything you need to get Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Google Plus set up. Now, of course, you can modify this for the current social media networks that your customers are using, but they're the biggies anyway. And it talks about things like creating your Facebook image, getting the correct proportion, getting the correct resolution, Twitter image, LinkedIn company logo, YouTube picture, your Google Plus picture. It talks about, continuity and naming the accounts and naming the social media handle so that you're always the same, moniker on each one of these networks. So for example, I'm Terry Rossi on all the social networks, and I'm also IT Provider Net on the social networks for this podcast. And the reason I'm not the IT Provider Network is because Twitter won't allow a handle that long. So I standardized on the shorter name for all the networks for consistency. So it talks about things like that. Then it walks you through the actual process of uploading the picture, creating a thumbnail, putting some default information in, your About Us page, etc. Speaking of About Us pages, I just actually read a great blog post on creating a really remarkable About Us page, and I'll definitely put that in the show notes as well. This particular woman gets paid, $1,500 to $5,000 to create companies' About Us pages, and they're often pages that users don't even put a lot of effort into. However, if you look at your Google Analytics or your analytics for your website, you'll find that they are often the second or third most visited page on your website. So I encourage you to check that out. I'll put that in the show notes at the itprovidernetwork.com/5. So back to the ultimate social media rig. Once you get your pictures created, your accounts created, it talks about the process of, going through and making sure you get a default set of followers and basically just setting up all those accounts. What I would encourage you to do, if you use some sort of PSA or password management tool, get all that documented in the password management tool so that you or the employee in your company that's doing social media can maintain the accounts, post to them, upload them. You'll also need it when you set up some of the tools we're going to talk about a little later on in the show for monitoring, publishing, and republishing content to that. So that's the ultimate social media rig by Chris Chase at Directive IT, and I'll put the link to that in the show notes. So now let's talk about the tools that I use to manage our social media platforms after they've been set up and on an ongoing basis. So there's basically three tools I want to talk about that I use. The first is Hootsuite, the second is Social Jukebox, and the third is Manage Flitter. And they're all slightly different tools, and I use them for different purposes. So let's start with Hootsuite. Hootsuite, and there is a competitor product out there called Buffer. I'm not that familiar with it because I don't use it. They are social media platform management tools. Hootsuite allows you to manage your Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Pinterest content. It enables you to post content right from this single dashboard to one or more of these social networks. It allows you to schedule content to be posted to one or more of these social networks. And it also has a built-in URL shortener. So if you've used Bitly or another URL shortener, Hootsuite has that built right in, and you can shorten the link right as you're doing your post. Great for doing that. But what also is really powerful is it allows you to have teams, and teams can access certain social media networks. So for example, for me, I have my private social media networks, which would be my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my LinkedIn page, all of which are under Terry Rossi. And then I have my different company pages, and I have one for the MSP business. I have more than one for the MSP business. I have one on each social network. I have one for the podcast. I have one for the other business that I have, so there's different networks that I have. I have one actually for the yacht club that I'm involved in. I do some social media for them. So there's different networks there, and you can assign different teams of people to each of those networks. So my website and social media for the MSP business is partially maintained by Pronto. If you don't know who Pronto is, they're a MSP marketing service that specializes in managed service providers. They do really good websites with ongoing content. So for a flat fee a month, you can submit all the content changes you want, all the new pages, etc. They also have a bunch of ancillary services that they do, one of which is a social media service. So they will post on our behalf to our social media accounts every other day, forever, basically. And they use Hootsuite to do that. So I give them a user account in Hootsuite. They post their stuff up in the schedule. Then I can look at it, review it, or just know that it's out there. I can see the posts that are going to happen over the next week, week and a half. Really great for that when you're collaborating with a third party. Hootsuite's great for allowing that to happen. The other thing that you can do, which is really nice, although some people recommend against it, I think there's a time and a place for it sometimes, is you can cross post. So you can make one post up in the post editor, and then you can just click off the various social networks that you want to post to. Really easy to do. It's actually really easy to do it separately if you want to change the message slightly for the social network you're on, but really easy to do. There's a bunch of browser add-ons to it that allow you to either quickly create a post when you're on a web page or post to other social networks. And it's also got some analytics built in so you can monitor your feeds and see what's going on with your feeds. I do use it for that as well. It's got a nice little dashboard where you can see your percentage of followers, engagement with your posts, people that reciprocally follow you. So you followed them and now they followed you. Great tool for managing all of your social media. It really is the home base for me. And you'll see a lot of venture capitalists and startup companies. You always see Hootsuite dashboard up on someone's desk. So that's kind of neat. The second tool I use is Social Jukebox. And what Social Jukebox is good for is repurposing your content. So it's a little bit of a funky interface. I don't know that I love it, but basically you link your social media accounts in there, specifically Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then you can create a jukebox. And a jukebox is a series of posts that you want to repost over a period of time. This is especially useful for Twitter. If you've ever, spent any time on Twitter, you know that content lasts for a second. It's basically there, and then the next minute you look and there's, 100 more posts that are new. It's not practical to create content for Twitter that's only going to be used for 5 seconds. So what you do with Social Jukebox is you take that evergreen blog post or that blog post that still has content, and you might come up with 10 or 15 headlines for that. Stick it in a jukebox in Social Jukebox, along with 10 or 15 headlines for 10 or 15 more blog posts. Now, all of a sudden, you got a pool of 100 or 150 blog posts that you can post to Twitter periodically throughout a day, throughout a week, etc. You can schedule these jukeboxes to be published daily, weekly, hourly, every hour between 8 and 5, pretty much all the flexibility you would need. You can also have multiple jukeboxes that are publishing content to the same social media network. So for example, I have my blog posts jukebox that I use on Twitter, and I publish just a few times a day from that jukebox. You can also set it so any given post is not repeated within a period of days. I set mine for 30 days, and then that jukebox is running on that account. The second thing you can do is add another jukebox to it. And I add, for example, on Mondays, I add a Motivational Monday jukebox, and they're just quotes from different leaders. And I publish that every Monday with a hashtag of Motivational Monday. The neat part about those types of jukeboxes on Social Jukebox is they have a collection of them. There are probably 50 or 60 different jukeboxes that you can add to your particular account and use as your own content. It shows you the number of people that have already done that. In other words, how many times that jukebox is shared. So you can pick one that's maybe not so widely used. And then you add that to your account, and all of a sudden, boom, you got another 100 different posts you can post without really any effort on your part. So the second tool, Social Jukebox, really good tool for republishing content on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The third tool I want to talk about is called Managed Flitter. And Managed Flitter, and don't worry, I'll put links to these all in the show notes at the itprovidernetwork.com /5. But Manage Flitter allows you to build your Twitter account systematically. So it's a little difficult to explain, but it gives you a bunch of functionality for your audience management. So let me give you an example of how I use it. One thing you can do with Manage Flitter is copy the followers from someone else's account. So let's say that you had a local newspaper in your county or city, and you wanted to get, let's give an even better example. Let's say it was a local business newspaper in your area, and you wanted to get all of the followers that follow that business newspaper, because chances are they're business people that might buy your products or services. So for example, in Philadelphia, we have the Philadelphia Business Journal. And obviously the followers of the Philadelphia Business Journal are business people or people that are interested in business that goes on around Philadelphia. By putting the Philadelphia Business Journal's Twitter handle into Manage Flitter, we're able to just instantly copy all their followers and start following them. So right away, we know exactly who to follow that might be candidates for our products or services. Great feature. It also allows us to easily follow back anyone that's followed us. So if we get followed by someone, we can easily follow them back. You can also look at the people that you've followed that haven't followed you back, and maybe you want to trim them off your list. So maybe you've followed a bunch of people, you want to give them 30 days, and if they don't follow you back in 30 days, then you want to unfollow them. So you can do all that kind of audience management stuff in Manage Flitter. Another great feature in Manage Flitter is you can see the best time to post based on your audience. So Manage Flitter will track the times that your audience is online and basically give you a time frame in when you should post. They call this their Power Post feature. Really neat feature, really powerful. You can also sort and filter your audience by keywords, followers, the age of the account, the location, much more. You can get rid of, for example, users that have no profile picture on Twitter. Chances are that's a spam or a neglected account. You can get rid of users who haven't posted in some period of time. So that's also helpful. They're dead accounts, typically abandoned accounts. So Managed Flitter. Those three tools, Hootsuite for complete platform management, watching all my feeds, watching what's happening on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Pinterest, as well as scheduling posts and posting them, working with teams. Hootsuite's a great tool for that. Social Jukebox for republishing content, taking a blog post that's evergreen or taking a Twitter post or a Facebook post that's evergreen, reposting it with different headlines, periodically posting that on the different networks without any intervention. Great tool, Social Jukebox. And lastly, Manage Flitter for audience management. Manage Flitter allows me to easily follow and build my Twitter audience by copying the followers from another account, following people when they follow me back, tracking who unfollowed me, and showing me inactive and no profile picture accounts. Also, a great feature is that they can show you the best time frame to post for your audience. So Manage Flitter, another great tool. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found this information useful. As you know, I'm just starting out with this podcast, and I'm really looking for your feedback and suggestions. Write me directly at terry@itprovidernetwork.com or stop by the website and sign up for our newsletter. Not really publishing much content onto the newsletter yet, but I plan on doing that shortly. So get signed up. You'll be in on the ground floor. You won't miss a thing. Thanks again for joining me, and have yourself a great day.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope you've been inspired. Check us out on social media via @ITProviderNet and visit us at www.itprovidernetwork.com for past episodes, show notes, videos, and more. And we hope you'll join Terry next time on the IT Provider Network.